So spray equipment. Wanted to touch on spray equipment. It's an interesting thing. Spray equipment's actually very old technology. Really, all we're doing is atomizing that paint, right? And that was done literally back in the caveman days with cave paintings. Pigments blowing out through a straw, atomizing pigment. So it's nothing new. Of course, this technology has evolved. However, it's something that's been around for a long time. So really wanted to touch on the importance of investing in good spray equipment and maintaining it. Now, I'll even go back to say, even if you can't afford to invest in top tier brands, maintaining what you have will certainly cause it to last longer. It's such an unfortunate thing. I'll go into shops and I'll see a guy's paint gun and it looks like he just grabbed it out of the bottom of the lake. You guys have to understand that's your moneymaker, right? And more than that, when something is tuned up right and clean and dialed in, you're going to have less problems. You're just going to run into less issues. You're going to have a lot less head scratching and calling your rep and saying, hey man, like I'm getting tiger striping, what's going on? And something I've seen, a clear coat gun is a perfect example of that. Is, if you've got some of those holes in the air cap filled with crusty clear coat, your spray pattern is going to be all oblonged. And essentially, what's happening is you've got, normally your pattern would be like this. You'll end up with something like this. So you got a wet spot, hyper wet here, and dry up here. So as you're going across the panel, you are over wetting in one area, which will cause maybe tiger striping. That's gonna, let's say on a silver car, I've seen it, I've watched a guy do it and then wonder what happened. And I could see his spray pattern is all out of whack just because he didn't wipe the air cap between jobs, right? So really want to drive that point home. When you're maintaining your equipment, use the proper tools. Don't go to the body man and grab, a electrode welding, broad tip cleaner. And those have abrasive, they have files on them to remove material, which is not something you want to do on a brass air cap, right? Super soft. You change that hole and you really change the tuning per se of how that fan pattern will behave. And it's something that's really important. There's a German company out there that makes some really precise tools. And they also make a really flexible metal. It looks like a needle, but it bends really easy. And it's flat on one side. You can get them from your distributor, have them order them up for you. And essentially, something like that, don't force it. I remember I learned that lesson the hard way. That particular manufacturer only sells air caps as a needle nozzle air cap set. And at the time, a new set was $350. They're probably more expensive now. But I tried to force something through it. I thought it was a piece of dried clear. And nope, guess what? It was a shaving of brass. I looked out one side and thought, oh man, I just ruined this thing. And sure enough, right, that fan pattern started spraying like this instead of like this. So, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. If something happens, at least put in a little bit of solvent to let that paint soften up before you try and shove something through it. But again, if you're maintaining it from job to job, and I get it, I've been there. I've been in a production shop and sometimes it's a hassle or you feel like you don't have time. But investing that time up front is really going to save you lots of time, potential redo time in the future. So it pays to be proactive. And I think in this body shop world, being proactive is a really key thing. If you can get in the habit of doing that, you're going to go a long way.